welcome back to my channel. I wanted to give you guys a tour of our garden this week. Since last week I showed you kind of a time lapse of the way that we set up our raised beds. This week I wanted to give you a garden tour because a lot can happen in like 2.5 months. I think that's what we put those beds in about 2.5 months ago, and it is a forest. So I wanted to show you what we've got going on. I'm going to start up here on the porch. That's where I am right now, just because we've got a few things up here, and then I'm going to go take you down into the garden. So we have just some little pots that the kids planted themselves. This is Soren's snapdragons that he planted from seeds. I have some lemon balm. So this planter is full of petunias, you can see, but these are all volunteer. I don't know why, but volunteer always do so much better in that planter. But some little nasturtiums, some green onions that I planted kind of in between the petunias as they were coming up. This is really fun. We're gonna have to transplant these, but Hannah and Noah each planted some sugar baby watermelons, and that's what these are. But those are definitely gonna have to be transplanted. I'll just have to figure out a spot to transplant those. We have some cherry tomatoes. These are ones that I grew from seeds. These two, they need to be watered. You can see it's 9 o'clock in the morning and the leaves are starting to curl. So that just means that they need some water, most likely. Some more volunteers. Aren't they pretty? I don't know, I don't even remember what these are called, but I planted these like years ago and they come back every year. So pretty, I love them. These are fun. I love these. These are kind of like my novelty plant, my little pet that I'm growing. They're cucamelons or sour gherkins, and they're just starting to put out fruit. I think that's probably about as big as they get. You can see they look kind of like cute. They're cucumbers, but they kind of look like a tiny little watermelon. They're so cute. I have another planter of those too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those are ready to eat. I'm going to pick one, see which one's the biggest. I think that one's bigger. I've never tried these. It might not be ripe, I have no idea. It's totally like a tiny cucumber. Tastes just like a cucumber. Look at all those seeds. I might save some for next time. But I thought they were so cute. I thought the kids would like them. So I'll send them out here to fix them and eat later. Every time I go to the garden. Oh, I wanted to show you from the porch. It's kind of hard to see when you're in the garden. It's kind of hard to see like the whole thing at the same time, just because you kind of get lost in the section you're in. So I'm going to show you from up here what this looks like. Our trellises are full and green. I think I overplanted some of them, but that's okay. We're learning, right? I just love how green and like it's just like a forest. It's really created a habitat for birds and squirrels and chipmunks and things like that. We find holes and things every time we come out here. So I'm going to kind of take you through it, show you what we've got. But I know now I always bring my basket even when I'm not ready to harvest, because I always come back with like a shirt full of stuff because things are just ripening so quickly. So these are a couple of tomato plants. Look how big that is. These are big tomatoes. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if this was one that Matt's dad gave us. I'll have to look at my notes, but we have some. These almost look like Roma tomatoes, but they're supposed to be cherry tomatoes. But these are in like barrels that you get. These were like food grade. They had agave nectar in them, and they were like $15 a barrel. You can make rain barrels, which is what we intended to do, but we just Matt just cut them and put them here, and we just filled them with the same stuff that is in our raised bed. So this first bed We have zucchini, and I've already taken a couple of the zucchini plants out just because they were diseased, but there's still 2 zucchini plants in here, and they're still producing all right. Not as prolifically as to start with, but they're definitely still producing. This looks like the same one up there. Tomato. You can see my nasturtiums blooming. Look at that. Look how pretty. It's a peach and a red one. Here's another zucchini plant that's spilled out of the bed. Don't you love that? And look at this mammoth. This is lots of dead branches on it, but this was a volunteer tomato plant, and it takes up the entire bed. It has 1 cage that I wrapped around it. It has 5 stakes, and I still can't keep it in the ground. So I'm just kind of like letting it go. But we've gotten a lot of ripe tomatoes. You can see there's a lot that's blushing. Look at those in there. So pretty. Lots more starting to blush. Some big ones in here. I don't know about you, but I think volunteers excite me more than the things that I plant sometimes, just because it's like you're rooting for them in a way. It's really funny that they beat all odds to reseed themselves, and then they grow, and then a lot of times they do better than the things that we actually plant, which is pretty cool to me. This is celery that we planted from like a cutting from the grocery store. This is kind of our perennial bed and things that we just want to keep growing. So we put them all in the same bed. This is strawberries, and we got a few off of it this year, but these were new this year. And then all of that is asparagus, and it's going to seed, and once it dies back, then we can cut it down. But I've got some more asparagus to go in this bed. And asparagus is kind of one of those things that takes a couple of years to get established, but then after that, it will grow like a decade or something. Okay, so I just have to say, I've never grown pepper plants this tall. I don't know what is happening here, but these things are so tall. Look at all of these. They're just hanging with cayenne. So I'm going to be canning those later this week. And some jalapenos. Those are going to be ready in a couple of days. But here's some jalapenos. I've already canned quite a bit of jalapenos. And then I have a rogue tomato plant. Back when these pepper plants were really small, it looked like there was going to be a space there. Haha. Very funny. It grew up quickly. And these, gosh, can you see? They're as tall as I am. These are pepper plants. These are banana and bell pepper. We've had some damage to these, and I'm pretty sure it's caterpillars, and so I'll spray. I'll take you through our tunnel too. Our butternut squash. That's what we have on these trellises. Whew, I keep walking through spider webs. Butternut squash, look at that. It's amazing to me that something that big can grow. I mean, these weren't even, I planted these from seeds 2.5 months ago, and they're already this big. Look at that. That's huge. It's just exciting. They're all over. I haven't had to tie them. They seem like the stems are sturdy enough, at least so far, to withstand just hanging. So that's what we're doing. We're just hanging out. Just hanging out. Planted Blue Lake green beans. I'm not a huge fan of green beans, but they definitely put food on the table. The kids love green beans too. Look at that, they're just hanging. How cool is that? I love that I can walk out in my backyard and just pick food. Isn't that pretty? I just love how they cover the arches. Obviously, a cicada bug got in here and left its shell. Scared me to death the other day because I reach in here Just look at the tomatoes, and this thing's hanging in my face. Yeah, I screamed just a little bit, but not too much. I'm gonna pick some of these green beans while I'm out here. So one of the reasons we planted a garden this year, I think everybody planted a garden this year, because when you go to Lowe's or to like the big box stores that have plants like Lowe's or Walmart, Home Depot, things like that, they're out of a ton of stuff. So it's sometimes hard to find right now anyway. But we've been dreaming about growing our own food for years. I remember planting my first garden when we lived in Indiana, and I knew that I was expecting our first child, Hannah, and I started the garden because I wanted to make her own baby food. It was an experiment. It did not work at all. I think it was destroyed by rabbits and squirrels and things like that. We just could not keep them out of this garden. And so after that, we like focusing on healthy food, locally sourced food if all possible. So we utilized farmers markets and things like that. But I think our desire to grow food just grew, really. It never stopped. And so each year we've had some sort of garden, whether it was an in-the-ground garden or starting these raised beds. We've kind of looked back. This is why I love Google Photos, is because you can look back and see every year what we've done. So every year we've done something, and each year changes. Some years we do more, some years we do less. Last year we were in California, so we only planted just a little bit last year, but our desire to grow our own food, just, I think this opportunity of the pandemic and having some time has really pushed us to growing way more of our own food. And it's so rewarding to come out your back door and harvest a whole basket full of stuff. I think it's really cool. It excites me. This has definitely been my kind of like my meditation, my prayer time is out here in the garden. It's definitely something that's eased my anxiety through this whole thing. I'm gonna go put these in my basket and show you the rest of our garden. I might have overplanted this trellis. This is cucumbers. I did Boston pickling cucumbers. This is 12 plants. So, I mean, you can barely get in here, but this is the end. This is the end of the life for our cucumber plants. You can see the cucumbers. Most of them have caterpillars now, but we've gotten pounds and pounds and pounds. But bees love this. I mean, you come out here in the morning and the bees are just all over everything. You can see it's already starting to, the leaves are starting to die. Caterpillars have gotten to a lot of the cucumbers, so we're going to call this one quits. I'll most likely I might plant some more cucumbers. I might switch it up, plant the cucumbers over by where the green beans are, but I might plant some more while we still have time. More pepper plants. This is fun. These are cantaloupe. Look at this. Look at how baby cantaloupe. Isn't that cute? Look at that one. They're so big. This is where we planted our tomatoes. So this is, look at this. This is one bed 16 feet and the other bed's 18 feet. And so we planted tomatoes about 18 inches apart or so. But look at these. These are ginormous. These are 8 foot. These are 8 feet tall. It's just impressive. I've never had such pretty tomatoes. These are all mostly cherry tomatoes. And I go ahead and try to pick them before they get like extremely ripe, just because I don't want pests to get them before I do. I'd be a little bit mad. Like I have a nasturtium all the way. It grew from right way down there all the way up here. Isn't that cool? These are big. I think he said these are pork chop tomatoes, so those are going to be like a yellow meat, a large yellow meat slicer. Just amazing to me. I planted basil and nasturtiums around the bottom, but we have some squirrels or something. I'm still not sure exactly what we have that likes to eat the basil. Look at my nasturtiums. So pretty, so pretty. This is kind of a last minute addition. This is our outbuilding, but I wanted something over here to kind of dress this up a little bit. But I planted some, these are roses, Cupid's bow, or Cupid's kisses roses. They're just a climbing patio rose. I thought those would be really pretty. So I planted one on each end. But this is fun. This is ginger. So I just planted the ginger rhizomes in the ground, like really shallowly, and they just, you know, it takes them a long time, but they just sprout up. I think yesterday I had 6 plants. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9. So 3 more came up last night. I think these 3 came up last night. Isn't that cool? And then this is turmeric. So turmeric and ginger are in the same family. And I did the same thing. I planted the turmeric rhizomes like really shallow in the ground, and then just keep them watered, and they take off. It takes them, I don't know, probably about a month, but then they just like start poking their heads out. Planted some yarrow, I think it's yarrow, some echinacea here. This is all holy basil or tulsi. This is great for tea or tinctures if you want to make a tincture, but it's a great adaptogen. Something likes my chives and I'm not getting any, so whoever, whatever that is, thanks a lot. I've already taken a bunch of cuts off of this and dried it, so well, it looks like I'm gonna need to do it again. That's just one plant too. That's amazing. Lemon thyme, oregano. This was from a friend. It looked like it was on its way out, but it's I cut off once it had a bunch of new sprouts. Then I started cutting off the dead, and it's really taken off. It's really pretty. It smells really good too. We have mushrooms. That's cute. And this is fun. This is a project that Matt and I did for our 11th anniversary this year. This is an herb spiral. It's really cool. Makes me happy. This is something that he's been wanting to do for a while, and so we finally did it. So rosemary, parsley, a lot of parsley there, some thyme, and some more holy basil and Thai basil. This is calendula, bergamot, chamomile, sage, some cilantro, and some dill. This is kind of a fun experiment. Again, the pests really like my herbs. I don't know if it's caterpillars or squirrels or chipmunks. I'll take you over here. We have 3 more of these barrel kinds of things over here. And we planted some sugar baby watermelons in them. And they look like they're doing pretty well. Look at that. They're just really taking off. It hasn't rained in a little while, so I'm going to have to get out here and water everything. Thank you so much for joining me today on my little garden tour. I come out here every morning and walk through, and I'm just amazed at the growth, what can happen from day to day and from week to week. So thank you for joining me today. Hopefully it brought you a little bit of joy, and until next time, I hope you have a blessed week.